So good morning, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is the Dr. Smita Sinha from Rotary Club of Bhubaneswar, Flamingo in District 3262, India, and today's moderator of this program. And welcome you all for the celebration of International 2024 End of the Year's interactive session commemorating the United Nations International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women and Human Rights Day. As you know, that we have been organizing many mega meetings in this mega meeting platform, and today's co-host clubs are from Nigeria, RC, Rotary Club of Sapel, GRA, Nigeria, E-Club of Peace, Nigeria. From India, Bangalore, BTM, Bhubaneswar, Flamingo, Bhubaneswar, Excellence, Rotract, BTM, Layout, India, Rotary Club of Chennai, Gemini, Rotary Club of Burdwan. From Bangladesh, it is Greater Dhaka, and from Turkey, Rotary Club of Cordon, Pugulu, and from USA, E-Club, World Peace. From Australia, Rotary Club of E-Passport and E-Club Melbourne, and PPP Future Wave. So we have a vast number of clubs and organizations participating in today's program. So without wasting much time, I would now request President Dorothy Gilmore from Australia to call the meeting to order. Over to you, Dorothy.
Welcome everyone. This is such a privilege to be here today. Well, it's today here in Australia, and it's good evening, and it's good morning, and it's good afternoon. So let's call this meeting to order, and let's start the guest speakers, please. Thank you, Smita.
Thank you. Now I request Charter President Shubham Gaur of Rotary Bangalore, BTM, to read out the objects of Rotary and four-way test.
Namaste, everyone. Yeah. Hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes. So let me read out the guiding principles of Rotary, which are object of Rotary and the four-way test. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise, and in particular to encourage and foster, first, the development of acquaintance as an opportunity of service. Second, high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of worthiness of all useful occupations, and dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. Third, the application of the ideal of service in each Rotarian's personal, business, and community life.
That's right.
And the last object of Rotary
It was in the middle of Save Families, and she said, "Is this?"
Please mute everyone.
And the fourth object of Rotary is the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a word fellowship of business and professional persons united in the ideal of service. Coming to the four-way test, four-way test is something which is of the things we say or do. This is like in our district, this is the first thing which is given to a new Rotarian. So the four-way test was like this. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charter President Shubham. Now I request to introduce today's meeting by the host of this program and the convener, past president and peace ambassador, OGM Esheri.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smitaji. I want to thank everybody for attending this meeting. We're already 74 people on this call right now, and we hope to be we hope to get to 100. And I also want to give a special thank you to all the guest speakers who have accepted my kind request to be guest speakers, even in the shortest time. It is my privilege and my humble, sincere gratitude to all of you who are going to be speaking today. And I also want to thank Otto and Smithy and the team of the mega meeting who've been able to support me in organizing and making this meeting a reality. I think today meeting is very, very important, not just for we on the call, but for everybody around the world, especially women. We're all here today gathered to raise awareness, to create awareness on the elimination of violence against women, to promote peace, and to eliminate all form of gender violence. As we are all here today, I want to encourage every one of us to do our different projects in whatever way we can.
Just at the introduction.
Create this awareness in our local clubs, in our organizations, within our friends and our community. I think this world can be a better place if we can just do our own little part in creating this awareness on gender-based violence and to also uphold and promote human rights. Thank you everyone again for being part of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I request past President Arthur Canaris of Rotary Club of World Peace to give the welcome address.
Okay, well, first of all, I especially want to welcome everybody to this crucially important call. You are really the founders of a new way of running the world. Does that sound grandiose? Well, think about it. At the end of World War II, when 50 million people were killed, cities were in ruins, human cruelty had reached such a stage that people were being burned in concentration camps, Rotarians had the courage to take the superhuman stance of finding a way to bring the world together and help found the United Nations. Well, that was an incredible leap forward, super important for humanity. And with the help of Eleanor Roosevelt, the United Nations on December 10th, 1948, declared the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that every single person on this planet, regardless of race, creed, color, sex, place of origin, all of us have equal rights. All of us have a right to this incredibly beautiful country we have. So they went from the original founding fathers who declared all men are created equal to saying every human being is equal. And that declaration had incredible power. But what happened, please mute yourself if you're not speaking. But that had incredible power. But what happened is there was no means to enforce it because we didn't have law above the nations that divide us. We had a planet, really one body. We're all part of one body. And can you imagine a body with 194 different brains all shooting off in different directions, fighting with each other and threatening each other? We have to bring our planet into coherence. We have to take the leap forward from our hearts to our minds, becoming together as the one people we are, with all the beautiful diversity and differences, umbrella separating all of us. Who's unmuted here? Let me see if I can.
You are
Can you
muted.
unmute yourself, please?
Arthur, hello, Arthur. You are on
We
mute.
muted everybody, and now I have to unmute. Okay, so this is an extraordinary opportunity. The very fate of humanity hangs in the balance. When that happened before, Rotarians stepped up to the plate. This is your chance to step up to the plate. And one of the things we're doing today in this extraordinary thing is focusing on violence against women. You know what that is? That's so crucial to the very nature of creating a better world, because it's that dominator culture. It's that dominator culture which has thrust us toward being on the verge of distinction, environmental distinction, nuclear war extinction, technology out of control, viruses out of control, all created by this separation. And so this is our chance to take a leap forward in connecting. And Rotarians are so incredible because we are already connecting the world. We are not locked into this box called nation states. People all over the world are in this Zoom meeting. They're connecting, they're interspersing. And so even though things look dark, this is the beginning of a breakthrough of
Also,
humanity
you need
coming
to
together.
stick to
I was at an
time.
extraordinary conference in the last 2 days on of entertainment to change the world. Leaders in the entertainment industry are thinking about how can we use the power of movies and TVs to change the world. And we had an extraordinary speaker who has in-depth research showing that all these divisions that we see, all that separation, is a collective illusion. It's not really true. It's not really true, folks. When they do the studies and they look at what is it that people really want, what are their inner feelings, people are lying. They're saying, oh, yeah, we want this side, get them. But inside, they don't feel that. He gave the example of Václav Havel, who in Czechoslovakia, when there was communist domination, he was a playwright. And he went to the theater and he saw that even all these people were saying, yeah, go communism, and down with anybody else. They were laughing at all the right points in his play. And he realized that was all a facade. They were all going along because this is what everybody else is doing. This is what all my neighbors are doing. I don't want to stand out and look ridiculous. And so he triggered a nonviolent revolution, a revolution that defeated Russia. We don't have to have tanks. We had in not only in Czechoslovakia, but in Estonia, Latvia, in Lithuania, where my grandfather came from. They had a singing revolution, and when the Russian tanks moved in, the Russian tanks crumbled. They could not defeat the people because tanks rolled over in Lithuania, 14 people, and then the tank drivers just stopped. We're just not going to roll over any more people. So there, we are at the verge of tapping into an incredible power, and it's the only power that can save the world. The superpower is we, the people of the planet, rising above our divisions and coming into coherence, bringing women in as equal partners, building a partnership society, and creating a world that works for everyone. So welcome everybody to this extraordinary adventure.
Thank you. Thank you very much and for giving a real introduction to today's program. Now I request our Dr. Nivedita Pani from Rotary Club of Bhubaneswar Flamingo to introduce our first speaker. She is a young girl, Tahira Khadimi from Afghanistan. So may I now request Dr. Nivedita Pani to introduce her?
Thank you, Madam. Tahira Kadim, born on 23rd December 2009, 15 years old, was born in Ghani province, Afghanistan. At the age of 2, her family moved to Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan. She grew up in Kabul, living among bombs, guns, violence against girls and women. In 2021, when Taliban took over the country, she was a school student in 6th class. As soon as she finished her 6th grade, she was forced to stay at home, but she did not. She started studying her 7th grade secretly and illegally in a small school for 7 months. Finally, when the condition got so bad, on November 9, 2022, the family was forced to flee Afghanistan illegally and secretly in the middle of night entered Pakistan in a bad condition. Currently, she lives in Pakistan as a refugee and have lots of things to share from her experience of Taliban coming to her school and how she used to run away. Peace is something she has not experienced in her life, but she wants to make it a reality for everyone. Thank you. Madam, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here with you all. Thanks for your nice introduction for me. Today, December 10th, it's a day.
We can't hear you.
Tahira, we come to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have my voice?
Yes, yes.
There was an internet connection problem. So on December 10th, we want to stand for human rights. That millions of girls and women around the world are denied from these rights. Violence against women is a serious problem that affects many families and many communities. It can take many forms. It can include physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. It's a, it's a day that we want to stand and we want to talk about our rights as humans as well as women. We must work together to create a world where everywhere is safe. Violence against women is a serious problem that affects many women and girls in Afghanistan. I want to say from my own experience, I have seen women who wear long dresses, who hide their faces, and who are forced to hide their books in Afghanistan in order not to be oppressed, in order not to be caught by the government. I have fled from walls, from windows, and anywhere possible that I could find a way for myself to home. The memories of those moments still haunt me, but I'm determined to use my voice and speak out against the violence and oppression that forces people to live in that condition. I have witnessed those all harsh realities for life for women in Afghanistan. I have seen women who hide their books, hide their faces, and wearing long black dresses to protect themselves from judgment and from oppression. These images have stayed with me. I always want to say that. And I'm committed to speak out against all those injustices that people face in my own country. I want to say that this gender-based violence is a crucial issue, and we have to work on that. We have to speak out. We have to we have to raise our voices, because if we don't, we will just continue witnessing all these bad conditions around the world, and especially in poor countries. I've seen how girls and women were collected from the streets without any reason, and that's the worst condition ever. So what I want to say is a call for action. We cannot just talk about women, but we should call for action. We have to do whatever we can for Afghan women and for other women in other parts of the world who are facing violence and discriminations in their life. So women in Afghanistan are completely, I can say, completely neglected and denied their rights for education, freedom, empowerment. And I think that it's so important that we should come together and work for all those women if it's any way possible. I think what my purpose in tonight's session is to put a light on the condition that's going on. It's not just about talking. I can see women who are forced to stay at home, who are forced to leave their dreams and passions because their husbands, their fathers, their brothers don't allow them to go out. They are denied education from the government, from the local government of Afghanistan. They are denied their healthcare services too. Even their, I can say, health institutions are closed now, and it's the worst condition. A few months ago, they put a law of non-speaking in public against women. But I think it was the worst one that they even, I can say, denied our existence, because every existence has a voice. And by this, I want to say that we exist, and our voices are as clear and as loud as possible to make the world hear our voices, to make the world know about our condition, to make the world understand what's going on. I've gone to school illegally and secretly, and I know how it feels to be afraid every second that you are in school. your hands and your legs are shaking every moment because they are about to camp, and you have to run away from anywhere possible. It can be even the walls that I have experienced. That's not easy. We were putting our lives in danger, and we knew if we get caught, we will never come back home again. That's the worst condition. I want to say this is the day we want to talk about the realities, and this is the day we want to speak out, speak loud, and we want to share our messages. I want to say that we are humans, and women's rights are humans' rights. I think this should be accepted once and forever. And I want to say that all of you who are here and who are listening to my voice should feel what I'm talking about, because humans are of two types, men and women. So it doesn't need any, I can say, big introduction to know women or humans too. So I want to say that let's do what we really can for women in Afghanistan. Let's do what really is possible for them. I think if we help one Afghan girl to reach to safety, to reach to a good environment, you have done everything to her. We have given life to a person. So I think this is my message to everybody. We all have to do whatever we can for women, and this is so important and crucial. Thank you all for listening to me, and thanks for giving me this great opportunity.
Thank you, Ahira, for enlightening us about the situation of women in Afghanistan. And we appreciate your courage to fight against it, whatever small way you are able to do. And I guess we all can be a part of your journey. Whatever is possible, definitely we will all go for it. And thank you very much. So now I request our Rotarian Dr. Pratip Kumar Mishra, Rotary Club of Bhubaneswar Excellence in District 3262, India, to introduce our second speaker, Rotarian Dr. Ira Helfand from USA. Over to you, Dr. Pratip Mishra.
Thank you, madam. On this auspicious day, I should say, World Human Rights Day, it's both a pleasure and opportunity to introduce a multifaceted personality, a Rotarian, and also an involved human being in the art of bringing about peace in this world. Rotarian Dr. Ira Helfand, MD, is an honorary member of the International Steering Group of the International Campaign to Abolish ICAN, recipient of 2017 Nobel Peace Prize, and immediate past president of the International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War, the founding partner of ICAN, and itself the recipient of 1985 Nobel Peace Prize. Also the co-founder and past president of Physicians for Social Responsibility, IPP, NW's US affiliate, and a member steering committee of the Back from the Brink campaign. In 2020, he received the Gandhi King Iseda award from the Martin Luther King Jr. International Chapel at Morebown College. He published articles in New England Journal of Medicine, The Lancet, British Medical Journal, World Medical Journal on the medical consequences of nuclear war, and has delivered lectures on nuclear war in Russia, China, Japan, Korea, India, Pakistan, Israel, Turkey, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, and Europe and North America. He was a speaker at the 2013-14 International Conference on the Humanitarian Impact of Nuclear Weapons at the UN Open-Ended Working Group in 2016 that led to the negotiation of the Treaty on the Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons the following year. Dr. Helfand was educated at Harvard University, the prestigious university in the world, and the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, and retired as the staff physician at Family Court Medical College. He is also he lives with his wife, Deborah Smith, an oncologist by profession, in Leeds, MA, USA. Two grown-up sons and two grandchildren. Sorry, he has also acted in films in 2010 in the movie Countdown to Zero, in the movie where he co-starred with the likes of former President of US Barack Obama, Tony Blair, and many world leaders. In 2021, he also acted in Guns, Bombs, and War, a love story. Oh, what a wonderful theme. An active Rotarian of our Rotary Club of International Peace D5000. He is, ladies and gentlemen, a versatile personality of repute as physician, specialist, and a nuclear medicine by profession, a champion of peace by passion, a film actor in action, philanthropic social worker, and whatnot. Dr. Ira is the proud honorary member of Rotary Club of Bhubaneswar Flamingo. So a clap for him and District 3262. We are more than honored by gracious presence, sir, in a crisis-ridden world today, and to bring it to order. This is the forum where we start from. Conflicts will go and come, but we move on peacefully. The threat of nuclear war is looming large in the horizon each day, and that has to be controlled. We understand the devastating consequences, as we are all have been in history watching it time and again. So we are all eagerly waiting for you, sir, to address us on a topic of relevance, the growing danger of nuclear war, and Rotary should stand up. In this version stage today, we are all waiting for your talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pradeep. I guess I'm going to be talking today about the greatest threat to women and girls in the world, which is also the greatest threat to everybody else, which is the danger of nuclear war. And we have to understand that this is not some kind of a fantasy, some kind of a plot for a movie. Nuclear war is a real possibility. The experts tell us we are closer to nuclear war than we've ever been. And in fact, it's my belief that unless we make a very, very profound change in the way nations behave towards each other, we're going to have a nuclear war. So let me take a few minutes to remind us of what's at stake here, what's going to happen if we do indeed see the use of nuclear weapons. Most of us have seen images of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they're particularly poignant on this day when the Nihon Hidankyo group of Hibakusha, survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, are receiving the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo. But we have to understand that a modern nuclear war will not be like Hiroshima at all. That was one single bomb, 15 kilotons, 15,000 tons of TNT. In a modern war, especially a large war between the United States and Russia, it will be many bombs on many cities. And most of the bombs will be at least 6 to 50 times more powerful than the bomb that destroyed Hiroshima. To give an appreciation of what that would look like, I'm going to use a model of a single very large explosion, because it's hard to imagine the 10 or 15 bombs that would hit a major city like New York or Moscow. The model makes it a little bit easier for us to apprehend what's going to happen. Within 1,000th of a second, a fireball would form, reaching out for 3 kilometers in every direction, 6 kilometers across. Within this entire area, everything would be vaporized. The buildings, the trees, the people, the upper level of the earth itself would disappear. To a distance of 6 kilometers in every direction, the explosion would generate winds greater than 1,000 kilometers per hour. Mechanical forces of that magnitude destroy anything that human beings can build. To a distance of 9 kilometers in every direction, the heat would be so intense that automobiles would melt. And to a distance of 25 kilometers in every direction, the heat would still be so intense that everything flammable would burn. Paper, cloth, wood, plastic, gasoline, heating oil, it would all ignite. Hundreds of thousands of fires which over the next half hour would coalesce into a firestorm, 50 kilometers across. Within this entire area, the temperature would rise to 800 degrees centigrade. All of the oxygen would be consumed, and every living thing would die. In the case of New York, 12 to 15 million people dead. The same for Moscow. London, maybe 9 or 10 million people dead. And if this were part of a large-scale war between the United States and Russia, this kind of destruction would take place in every major city in both countries, and all of the great cities in Canada and Europe as well. All told, 200 to 300, perhaps 400 million people dead in an afternoon. But I've only talked so far about the people living in the countries that fight the war. This would be a catastrophe for the entire planet, because all of these fires would put soot in the atmosphere, 150 million tons, and would block out the sun and drop temperatures across the planet, an average of 10 degrees centigrade. In the interior regions of North America and Eurasia, the temperatures would drop 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. We have not seen temperatures on this planet that cold in 18,000 years, since the coldest moment of the last ice age. And under these conditions, all the ecosystems which have evolved since the last ice age would collapse. Food production would stop across the planet. And in the first 2 years after this conflict, 3/4 of the human race, between 5 and 6 billion people, would starve to death. The study that gave us these figures only went out for 2 years. The famine would continue, and we don't know what the ultimate death toll would be. That same study showed that even a much more limited nuclear conflict, as might, for example, take place between India and Pakistan, would also be a global disaster. A war involving just 250 of the more than 300 warheads currently existing on the subcontinent could kill over 100 million people in the first afternoon, and could also trigger a global famine, not quite as intense as the famine that would result from a US-Russia war, but bad enough to kill 2 billion people in the first year, 1/4 of the human race. Now, as I said, this is not a fantasy. This is not the plot of a movie. The danger that we are living with every day, that we allow these weapons to continue to exist. And we need to recognize that and take appropriate action. We in Rotary have a particular responsibility in this regard because we are not acting alone. We are part of a global family with over 1 million members. And Rotary has done extraordinary things. It eliminated polio, and it can eliminate nuclear weapons as well. And because it has the power to do that, it has a responsibility to do that as well. There are some who argue that Rotary should not concern itself with the question of nuclear war. It should not work for the abolition of nuclear weapons, that this is a political issue that is beyond Rotary's scope. I hope those people will reconsider their position. This is not a political issue. This is the greatest humanitarian crisis that we have ever faced. And it is our responsibility to take action. If we do not, and if nuclear war comes, those of our children and grandchildren who survive will not accept from us the explanation that this was too political for Rotary to take action. They will only have one question: why did you let this happen? And we will have no answer. So let us not put ourselves in the world in that position. Let us take action as individual Rotarians in our communities, and as Rotary International, as a global organization. Let us demand that the governments of the world join the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, that they sit down and negotiate the details that need to be worked out, so that all of the countries, the 9 countries which have these weapons, can eliminate their arsenals, confident that the other countries that have them are doing the same thing, and are progressing according to an established timetable. This is the greatest challenge mankind has ever faced. But it is also perhaps the greatest opportunity that we as Rotarians have ever seen to put service above self. We have literally been given the opportunity to save the world. And so let us seize that opportunity. Let us take action, and let us indeed save the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ira, for giving us the clear picture about the impending devastation that the world is going to face if we don't take action. Thank you very much. We will get back to you for the question and answer. But right now, hello, we move on to the next speaker. And I request Rotarian Dr. Pallavi Maji of Rotary Club of Burdwan to introduce our third speaker, Rotarian Dorothy Gilmore from Australia.
Greetings, eastern part of India, RID 3240. I am privileged to tell you about the illustrious profile of Dorothy Gilmore. Dorothy is President Rotary Helfand, District 9800, and creator and chair Rotary Safe Families and Inclusive Communities Initiative. She has been appointed the Rotary International Zone 8 Specialist Leader in Gender Equity, Rotary Safe Families, and Prevention of Abuse to any community or diversity. SAFE represents stopping abuse in family elsewhere, everywhere. With vast experience and professional academic history in social sciences, including human behaviors and challenges of specialized groups, she has created all the films, presentations, workshops, and printed resources for SAFE, families, and ICI. If you want to see her website, www.rotarysafefamilies.org.au. Dorothy's main practice was in the area of trauma, loss, grief strategy, and debriefing post-community disasters. Dorothy lectured at Swinburne University in Masters of Psychology, Social Science, and Family Therapy in trauma, loss, and grief counseling. She remains an advocate for social justice and fairness for those less fortunate. Dorothy is determined for everyday people to be part of the solution in the prevention of family violence and children and gender abuse in Australia. Dorothy believes we must all take some responsibility and assist our police and social services to manage the epidemic of violence. We must assist a victim or possible victim of abuse by being able to identify and report any form of abuse, not sit on our hands. Let us help to ensure our children and grandchildren are safe and do not perpetuate the lack of respect of humanity. Inclusive Communities Initiative reaches out to culturally and linguistically diverse community leaders to inform and educate in primary prevention of family violence to any community or diversity. Dorothy is passionate Rotarian and champion of Rotary Safe Families, that is S for stopping, A for abuse, F for families, E for everyone. Safe Families for Australian Rotary and maintains we must break the silence of violence. Thank you, ma'am. And the webinar is all yours. Over to Dorothy. Yeah.
Thank you for that introduction. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon to our global audience today. I'm humbled to have been invited to present to you at this Rotary International mega meeting. I shall try to capture the challenges and provide some methods of hopefully changing the global story of violence to women and girls. The United Nations General Assembly on 18th of December 1979 adopted the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. There were just 20 countries to join this convention, and 10 years later, in 1989, more than 100 nations have agreed to be bound by its provisions. And yet, violence to women and girls escalates every year. We recognise that violence to women and girls is a huge traumatic issue throughout the world. But why is violence to women and girls such an overwhelming disaster to humanity and yet largely ignored? We need to understand that there is not one solution that fits all the unique and varying cultural differences of global communities, but one theme is synonymous and needs our attention. It is critical that men want to end violence and become active participants and promoters of change. The World Health Organization estimates that globally, almost 1 in 3 women have experienced physical and/or sexual violence in their lifetime. From years of working with family violence victims and perpetrators, I believe we need to understand what the drivers are that lead men to be violent. Some of these characteristics are acknowledged as the root cause of the violence and aggression. There can be total ignorance. There can be addiction to alcohol and drugs, lack of respect for females, and the use of domination and control as power over women. Unfortunately, unemployment and poverty can also play a big factor. And many males have patriarchal and sexist views of females. Gender stereotypes and prejudice can also play a big part, and the underrepresentation of women in power and politics. Also, natural disasters and crises can tip a man over the edge in fear, and studies provide irrefutable evidence that gender-based violence increases after a disaster. These issues and signs can no longer be ignored. But what does the violence actually look like? Well, there can be stalking and sexual harassment, sexual violence, including rape, physical and psychological abuse, financial and spiritual abuse, and coercive control at the hands of intimate partners. In some countries, there is forced marriage and forced sterilisation, which are all deeply traumatising acts of violence. The overwhelming majority of victims are women. Adding female genital mutilation and forced abortion as forms of violence that only women can be subjected to shows the shocking level of diversity in cruel and degrading behaviour that women experience. We know that most violence is carried out by men and is used to sustain male power and coercive control. For many global communities, the trauma experienced by men in transmigration and displacement issues can generate increased risks of sexual violence and abuse. In Australia, we record 1 death of a woman every 4.5 days. It appears that no matter the demographic or how rich or poor, the numbers are heading in the wrong direction. But if we really want to protect women now and in the future, both men and women need to dig deeper and understand what drives the violence in the first place. In Australia, 1 in 9 men have been abused by the age of 15. What do they do with the deep trauma and humiliation of their abuse as children? Well, generally, they don't talk about it. but push it deep down. Men are not known for openly communicating their feelings and grief and trauma. They may feel shame and helplessness if forced to share. Of course, not every instance of abuse can be traced to childhood trauma. They may feel shame and helplessness, and there can be childhood trauma, mental health problems, or alcohol and drugs. And not all men who experience abuse as children go on to be perpetrators. Let me be clear here that it is a minority of the total population of males who perpetuate violence against women and girls. But what are the majority of men doing to take a role in protecting women, calling out bad behaviour, and preventing violence and death? What do we need to do to change the story? What may help to change society's lethargy in making a difference to this sad story of violence? Number one, better communication. Make violence to women a topic that is discussed and non-taboo. Let's educate our children and grandchildren to respect women and girls and to seek healthy, equal relationships as adults. Prevent children, as in Australia, from viewing the sadistic, pornographic videos online, which include violent choking and strangulation of the female. Our children grow up believing that choking and strangulation is a normal part of sex. Report the perpetrator. Not only will he be stopped from continuing the cycle of violence, but in many countries, with family violence and anger management programs, he will get that help he needs to change his story. We need to challenge and prevent all forms of racism, indifference, ignorance, and disrespect. Address discrimination and oppression in our cultural systems, including through advocacy for legal and policy reform. I ask you, what role could Rotary play in changing the story? Whose responsibility is it to change the story of violence? I believe very strongly it is our moral responsibility to be active in this societal problem. In Australia, Rotary has an initiative, Rotary Safe Families and Inclusive Communities. This campaign conveys to Rotarians how to change the story, how to become an ambassador club for prevention of family abuse, becoming one voice within the wheel of Rotary. Check out the Rotary Safe Families website address as seen here behind me on your screen. Rotary Safe Families promotes our simple but very effective model of the 3 R's of prevention. The first R is recognise. Recognise signs of abuse. I wonder if you could all recognise signs of abuse in a child. You need to become informed. The second R is raise. Raise your concerns safely with the victim, never with the perpetrator. He may retaliate and place the family in grave danger. The third R is so important, refer. Refer the victim to police or a support organisation if available in your country for help and options, or make the call yourself. These 3 R's have proven to be a model of prevention for any form of abuse to women, men, children, and elderly, and any diverse communities worldwide. Rotary on a global front has virtually ended polio in the world when it launched Polio Plus in 1985. Through decades of commitment and work, through massive promotion, fundraising, networks of clubs and districts, it has taken decades of combined work and commitment to ending polio. Now I have to ask, What is Rotary's reason for not helping the world change the story for women, daughters and granddaughters to feel safe from violence? Why can't we have massive global promotions, fundraising, networks of clubs and districts working together in stopping family violence to save our children? Yes, it will take time and much commitment, and it will not be in my lifetime that women and girls are treated with respect and safety. But I shall not stop advocating for women and girls around the world whilst I have breath in my body. I do this for our children and our grandchildren. And remember, abuse prevention begins with you and me. So let's work together to change the global story of violence to women and girls via Rotary. I thank you today for your time and listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Rotarian Dorothy. And we will definitely all try to stop the family violence, and we will take care of the model, the 3R, which you said. And we will also look into the rotarysafefamily.org.au to know more about how to stop abuse in the family. Thank you so much. And we will get back to you again for the question answer session. Thank you very much. So now I request a Rotarian PP Maithili Mularidharan from Rotary Club of Chennai, Germany, in District 3232, India, to introduce our fourth speaker, Rotarian Robert Fisher from of Australia.
Thank you. Thank you, Smita, for this beautiful opportunity. And good morning to each one of you here, and few other countries. It's a good night. Okay, moving on. It's a pleasure to introduce this fine personality, Mr. Rotarian Robert Fisher. Born and educated in Glasgow, Scotland, Robert joined the international publishing firm of William Collins, now part of HarperCollins within News Corporation, as a management trainee. He graduated from the Institute of Marketing in London and later attended Strathclyde University Business School. Transferred by the Collins Group of Johannesburg in the 1970s, Robert drove the growth and modernization of the regional interest, leading to his appointment as Managing Director, Southern Africa. In their mid-1980s, he headed up a similar operation in New Zealand, and after 3 years, went on to the UK to create a new division as Managing Director of HarperCollins Cartographic, with responsibility for publishing world-leading maps and atlases. In 1993, Robert was invited by Person Picture to become a Managing Director of their educational companies in Australia and New Zealand, known then as Longman. He was also made a director of Penguin Books in both Australia and New Zealand, and later a director of the Australian Publishers Association and Copyright Agency Limited. More recently, Robert was managing director of the Inc. Group of Australia and New Zealand, integrating the company Info American Greetings, and after that, CEO of the then family-owned Collins Booksellers Group in Australia. In the past 20 years, Robert has run his own management consultancy practice, specializing in executive coaching and mentoring. He is a fellow of the Australian Institute of Company Directors. Robert has been a Rotarian for 18 years and is a past president of Rotary Club of Melbourne. He enjoys travel, music, photography, and reading, and walks every day in an attempt to remain reasonably fit. For over 50 years, he has been married to Mira, a teacher also from Scotland, and together they have proudly brought up their two professional daughters who seem to have thrived on the regions of moving around in the world. Robert and Myra delight in having 5 grandchildren. I'm having great pleasure to present Rotarian Robert Fisher to this august audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Maithili, for that amazing introduction. Almost embarrassing. Having listened to Tahira and Dr. Ira and Dorothy before me, what I'm about to present seems to be somewhat light on, as they say, but I hope it'll be of some interest to Rotarians around the world. My thanks to past President Azurn for inviting me to share details of what has become an annual event in my Rotary District 9800, Walk With Us to End Polio. I'm greatly honored to be part of this meeting. And thank you for considering our time zone in Australia. We're usually asked to join global calls in the middle of the night. I'm sure some of you on the call right now would probably rather be sleeping than listening to me talking. I'm going to try and share the screen as I have a few illustrations to show you along the way. So we'll try and get that going. Can you see that?
Yes.
That's terrific. Okay, here goes. This is a story about one of the easiest and most satisfying ways of raising funds that I've ever come across in my Rotary life. Here's a map of Australia, the smallest continent in the world, yet one of the largest countries in the world. Melbourne is way down in the bottom right-hand corner, if you can see it. We are the capital of the state of Victoria, and my district 9800 stretches from Melbourne north to the border with New South Wales, embracing around 70 clubs. My personal passion for the End Polio Now campaign started in 2018 when I was president of Rotary Melbourne. The now past President Jennifer Jones visited us during the week of World Polio Day, and I arranged for our city hall to be lit up in red, as you can see from this photograph. Jennifer is third from the left. I'm second from the right. In case anyone present today is unaware, eradicating polio has been the most challenging and noteworthy campaign ever undertaken by Rotary internationally. Over the past 35 years, more than 2.5 billion children have received the oral polio vaccine. Thanks to the support of countless individuals and partners, the Global Polio Eradication Initiative is close to being a complete success. However, as you may have seen, there was recently a case involving a baby boy in the Gaza Strip, and also 2 endemic countries remain, being Pakistan and Afghanistan. So we need to keep fundraising to minimize the risk of the polio virus spreading elsewhere. That's what inspired me to do my little bit for the cause. The origins of our End Polio Now Walk With Us event go back to 2019, pictured here, when 100 people walked around Albert Park Lake in Melbourne a few times for the cause, paying for the privilege of just participating, I might say. It was going to be an annual event, but then COVID struck. Nevertheless, a bright Rotarian in our district suggested we could still walk individually to raise funds while sharing the success collectively. Incidentally, Melbourne was one of the world's most locked down cities in the world during the pandemic, so we were pretty desperate to do something really useful that was legal. So a suitable off-the-shelf charity website was found, and a generous Rotarian sponsored the purchase of it. The cost was around 1,500 Australian dollars, which is around 1,000 US dollars. So from now on, my dollars in this talk are going to be US dollars, so most of you can hopefully understand the relative values. The website was then adapted for our End Polio Now District Walk. We registered the URL rotarywalkwithus.org, And the way it works is quite simple. The event runs through the whole month of October. Rotarians in the district are encouraged to register through the website to walk or indeed jog or run throughout the month towards a distance goal that they set for themselves. They create their own content on the website page allocated to them, such as a message about why they're walking, how far they are targeting to walk, and the fact that whatever they raise will be tripled thanks to the generosity of the Gates Foundation. And this, for me, is the most compelling reason for raising End Polio Now funds. Registrants contact family and friends with a link to their page on the website, inviting donations which go direct to the district End Polio account. Most people use social media to spread the word and include the web link. I choose the old-fashioned route of a personal email to all the Rotarians I know, plus family and friends. It can be sponsorship of so many dollars per kilometer, but the better way is simply to seek a donation up front. As the month unfolds, each walker enters the distance covered each day, which is easy to track from any smartphone. There's a leaderboard on the site so that people can see how their donations are progressing. The whole thing is managed by a wonderful district End Polio coordinator, Jane Pennington, who's pictured here on the right side of the left picture. It's all good fun, really, but with serious intent. The first year, 2020, during COVID, was the biggest in our short history. We raised $72,000 US. We've now run the event for 4 years. It's now settled down to a more modest level. This year, the district raised around $32,000 US. We had 68 individuals participating during October, some of whom were part of a team. For example, members of some Rotary clubs formed teams with crazy names such as Rotoboars, Foot Strollers 24, the Hawkers Walkers, the Cotswolds Wanderers, and so on. There were over 500 individual donations processed through the website. Donations ranged from $10 to $2,000. 36 people sponsored me, and I managed to raise nearly $3,500 US. But the brilliant thing is that it became over $10,000 US with Gates Foundation support. That's one person participating in the walk. Most people walked less than 100 kilometers. I actually topped the distance chart with 400 kilometers, which comfortably exceeded my promise to sponsors of 300 kilometers. 300 Ks sounds a lot, but it does impress your friends, and with the End Polio story, it really motivates them to help the cause generously. And if you break 300 kilometers down, it equates to only about a couple of hours brisk walking per day, which for 1 month is quite manageable. In the 4 years the district has been running the event, we have raised exactly $378,280 Australian dollars, which is approximately $250,000 US. And that's before the Gates Foundation triples it to become $750,000. By the way, to help make clubs aware of the main event, we have a pause for polio walk at the beginning of the campaign and a celebratory open to all fundraising walk at the very end of the month. And in this shot, you can see a polio survivor, Shirley Glance, second from the right, one of the estimated 400,000 polio survivors in Australia. So there we are. That's just one event our district runs to support the End Polio Now campaign. I just love being part of it, knowing also that for every dollar I raise, it will become $3 thanks to the Gates Foundation. Here are the details of the one-off shelf website that we purchased and adapted. It's called Fundraising. Our site is also shown here, but it's not live right now until nearer the next event in October 25. But you're welcome to drop me an email if you'd like more information on this event. One final thought for you. Imagine if every Rotary district around the world had an event like this. If they raised the amount we did this year, a total of some $17 million would be raised for End Polio Now, which after Gates Foundation's tripling would become $50 million. Wow. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we are impressed to know that you are raising so much of fund for End Polio. And I think this year also we found instances of polio found in India also. Although India was declared polio free a few years back in some part of India, and Pakistan and Afghanistan, there is still polio virus is found. So together we all should work more hard, to end polio from the world. Thank you very much. We'll get back to the question in the question answer session for you. And now moving on, we have our fifth speaker to be introduced. Fifth speaker is Rotarian Laura M.George of USA. And I request Rotarian Swaraj Mohanty of Rotary Club of Bhubaneswar Flamingo in District 3262, India, to introduce her. Over to you, Rotarian Swaraj Mohanty.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. It gives me immense pleasure in introducing fellow Rotarian, Reverend Laura George JD. She is the Executive Director of the Oracle Institute, an educational charity and think tank that studies the nexus between religion, politics, human rights, and its evolution. Miss Laura has authored the award-winning Oracle trilogy, The Truth, the Love, and the Light, and she serves as the lead minister at Oracle Temple. And currently, Ms. Laura is helping spearhead the Funding Mother Movement, a strategic initiative to unite women groups, manifest gender equity, and end war. She is also a trustee at the World Constitution and Parliament Association. She is the steward at the Earthwise Center, branch leader at Human International League for Peace and Freedom, and a member of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. She is the right speaker today as the world witnesses conflict of religion divide, conflict in political divide, and human rights violation. So we welcome Reverend Laura to the talk. Thank you.
Hello, Rotarians. I am very honored to be here representing the Founding Mothers Movement. We believe that if humanity can achieve universal rights for all women and end war, that all the other elements of the poly crisis become remediable. Like you, the Founding Mothers find it very difficult to comprehend why it has taken humanity so long to achieve gender equity and peace. Many of us feel like we're from the future or aliens from another planet. And in that vein, I want to tell you a little tale. So please take a deep breath and pretend that we are elders of the cosmos from another planet. Once upon a time, on a planet called Earth, there existed an astonishing array of biological diversity and breathtaking beauty. Known throughout the galaxy as the legendary blue planet, we elders mourned its loss. Prior to its destruction, the indigenous species of Earth included humans, supposedly the most intelligent on the planet. But due to the aggressiveness of some males and a dangerous chemical called testosterone, there existed men who wanted to dominate women. Sadly, they never learned the law of gender equity, and it would prove to be their ruin. During the early 21st century, foolish men of greed and power started what was known as World War III. Their immature use of artificial intelligence was yet another factor in the planet's demise. But fortunately, we, the elders of the cosmos, perfected time travel. Prior to the start of World War III, we sent some women back in time to establish a new trajectory for Earth. Their assignment was to launch the Founding Mothers Movement. They were instructed to select the most optimal timeline to avert World War III. And by the year 2025, our operatives had amassed an army of Amazons dedicated to planetary partnership and peace. The women began to neutralize Project 2025, an evil plan that in the prior timeline had destroyed the United States, imposed a Christian nationalist theocracy in its place, and subjected the women of Earth to further abuse and domination. In fact, the patriarchy embedded in Project 2025 was the root cause of World War III. But now the stage was set on planet Earth, where we had sent crucial founding fathers years before. Yes, a key piece of our plan was for the women to create a global women's Congress and finish the work of the founding fathers. Like Patrick Henry, the women shouted, "Give us liberty, or we shall all face death." Like Thomas Jefferson, the women penned declarations of interdependence and told a new story of unity and diversity. Like James Madison, they wrote a world constitution for women and a world peace plan. And like George Washington, the women led a sacred mission to protect the truth, share their love, and follow the light. Many men, like the patriot Paul Harris, who founded the Rotary Club of Chicago in 1905, began to join the movement. With 1.2 million members spanning the globe, Rotary International joined to help anchor women's rights in a war. Yes, the Founding Mothers Movement was the wild card scenario that finally shifted the paradigm on planet Earth. Now, my little tale may sound silly, but as Mahatma Gandhi once said, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. So let me tell you what we've accomplished in just 6 months since we launched on July 5th of this year. First, we reimagined and then reignited the storied International Congress of Women. The first Congress met in 1878 in response to Julia Ward Howe's Mother's Day proclamation. Standing on the shoulders of these giants, we have now passed and published our Founding Mothers Proclamation, and we did this on October 2nd, Gandhi's birthday and International Day of Nonviolence. Our proclamation calls for universal women's rights, including reproductive freedom. It also contains a plan to institutionalize peace by requiring every nation to establish a Department of Peace and providing the International Court of Justice with mandatory jurisdiction to resolve nation-state disputes. And it contains enforcement provisions so that world law can truly be anchored. It also addresses the dangers of AI. One of the founding mothers has crafted a constitution for the benevolent growth of artificial general intelligence, and that is now being peer-reviewed and also circulating at the United Nations. So why is our movement different? First, it is a meta-unity movement. It is not another nonprofit. Founding Mothers is a brand and is attracting both women and men around the world. The delegates in our Congress are from every continent, and it was so great to hear a speaker tonight from Afghanistan. We also have women in the Congress from that part of the world. And we're already talking about fractaling the Congress. I was going to show you really quickly, if I can, what it looks like right now.
Do you want to share the video now?
And, well, I'm going to show them a slide really fast. Right now, this is what our Congress looks like. And it's a very horizontal and vertical structure. We've embedded holism in it. But I wanted to show you that we're already talking about going continental with a North American, South American, Asian, European, and African Congress. That's how quickly we're growing, and that's how ambitious our plan. I wanted to tell you, or end by telling you, that part of our concrete plan is to start campaigns on January 1st. And our very first campaign is called the Weekly Worldwide Wake Up. It is designed to be very easy, flexible, and fluid because we want to encourage creativity and inspire our partners to implement the campaign in novel ways. So it'll start New Year's Day, and it will occur every Wednesday at high noon until our sisters are fully franchised and peace prevails on earth. As I mentioned, it's going to be high noon in every time zone, but we're going to start on New Year's Day with a launch, a big rally. And Arthur's been actually helping us get ready for that. The theme is making good noise. This is a play on the famous John Lewis quote, "To make good trouble." So we're asking people to make tactical noise making. You can do it from home, you can do it from work, and it can be pleasant noise making, like a bird whistle or playing a drum or a musical instrument. So I'm going to ask you to participate with us in just a few weeks. And yes, if you would, Arthur, I wanted to show our vision video and show what the world will look like after we shift the paradigm.
The year is 2030, and the Founding Mothers Movement has successfully shifted the paradigm. We have achieved a great victory. We have fully empowered women around the world, and we have stopped an evil that no people before us were able to prevent. We have ended war. Women now have universal gender equity. Women have bodily autonomy and reproductive choice. Laws are in place to prevent child marriage. Cultures forbid family violence and genital mutilation, and relationships between women and men enter a field of understanding and compassion. For the first time in human history, our precious planet is at peace. The military-industrial complex is now a peacekeeping force, and men no longer are asked to kill their brothers. As a result, there is ample money available for healthcare, daycare, and elder care. Schools are being built around the world to educate all girls. Projects abound and are fully funded to provide novel green infrastructure and protect the commons. Artificial intelligence is properly monitored and employed for benevolent projects that enhance life on Earth. Now Mother Earth can regenerate. Animal, plant, and ocean life are revived and add to the euphoria of this new golden age. All my relations, one of the original instructions, is a lesson taught in every school, along with mindfulness. There now exists a universal inner knowing that together we can accomplish anything. Planetary governance has reached a new level of inclusion, collaboration, and coordination. The nation-state system yields to regional and local models of self-organization. Intentional communities and cottage industries abound, creating self-sufficient economies. Globalization now means that we are one species with one shared destiny. Personal freedom is intertwined with responsibility, which we gladly share as members of one human family. The news story is told far and wide. Our children know it by heart. Songs are written in its honor. Truth, love, and light reign on earth. As above, so below. Join the Founding Mothers Movement and help transform the world.
Thank you so much, Dr. Laura. That was really, really inspiring video, especially on this day as we end the day on the elimination of violence against women and girls. Really appreciate it. It was a great, great presentation. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Smita.
Thank you, Laura. It was a beautiful presentation. And we will also like to continue our journey together. We were just talking to my other colleagues from my district, Dr. Pratik Mishra. We are bringing out a book on peace, like the tentative title is, it's something related to positive peace and how to bring about the changes. And we would also request all our presenters, to contribute. We will get back to you in person, personally, and email you once we conceptualize our the synopsis of the book. And it will be really great to be involved, and take it to the next level. All the 5 speakers spoke so nicely in a different aspect of, how to restore peace in the world. Thank you so much. And now we request for the question answer session. I request Rotarian Rose Cardarelli of Rotary Club of Washington to moderate and take over the question answer session. All the 5 speakers are there, and anybody who has got any question to ask, so she can moderate. Over to you, Rose.
Thank you for the honor. We have a lot of questions that came in advance, and we have a question or two within the chat. So I'm just going to moderate with questions with all of our speakers. Maybe some of these questions won't have answers, but at least it will motivate our thinking, and then we can ponder that just a little bit more and hopefully come up with answers. I'm the Rotary International representative to UNICEF, and I'm actually going to the UN tomorrow because I will be involved in peace dialogue. So I really appreciate everything that's been shared tonight because it helps motivate my thinking. The first question will go to Dorothy. The contributor says, economic development has brought a good quality of life. However, added to stressors at all levels has resulted into the impatience and reduction in tolerance, the cumulative effect of this unrest and loss of peace. What can Rotary and Rotarians do to mitigate this?
Thank you, Rose, and thank you, Rajendra Kumar Saraf, for the question. I believe what we need to do is apply a similar international commitment by Rotary International as they've applied to end polio. I think campaigns, fundraising, every club to donate annually, create one voice from Rotary International, because we know that Rotary is highly respected in the world. And it gives us the ability to campaign and to also support men's mental health. We need to reach out to men to be able to change the story of the past. We need to help men to communicate, to think of the present and the future and not dwell on possible shameful stories of the past. This has gone, this has passed. We need to think about now and the future and changing the story about it not being a shame game, but a change game. So I believe that if we can apply the model of ending polio now to ending family abuse in the world, I think that would be a real positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy. The next question will go to Dr. Ira. Do you foresee Rotary International ever endorsing a non-proliferation statement?
I do. I think it's something that can happen and should happen soon, like this year or next. There have been resolutions introduced into the Rotary Council on Resolutions for each of the last several years, asking Rotary to do just that. not a non-proliferation statement, but a statement against nuclear weapons as they currently exist. It's not enough to prevent them from spreading to other countries. We have to get rid of the ones that are in the hands of the 9 countries that already have them. These resolutions have usually gotten between 40 and 45% of the members of the Council on Resolutions to vote for them, which to me suggests a very strong interest on the part of many Rotarians in Rotary taking action on this issue. And I think one of the things I would ask people on this call tonight or today to do would be to encourage their Rotary leadership locally to continue to press for Rotary International to make such a statement. We have a group within Rotary called Rotarians for a World Free of Nuclear Weapons, and I'm going to put that into the chat right now. And I'll put in at the same time my email. If people are interested in being part of that group, we'd urge you to be in touch with me or with Fran Jeffries, who is, I think, on the call and may have put her email in the chat as well. So I think it's very possible for Rotary to do this, but it's going to take a little bit of work on all of our part to encourage the leadership to take this step.
Thank you very much. The next question will go to Robert. Can any of these concepts and ideas that we've spoken about tonight be taken to the club level? And I think I know the answer from you. And if so, what would that format look like? How would it start?
Thank you, Rose. The question is very simple to answer. Yes, you can create an End Polio Walk Now website at club level, if that is your wish. And the first point of contact is the website that we purchased off the shelf. And it's purchased through www.fundraisin.co. I'll put it in the chat after this. And you take it from there. It's not hard to adapt, and it's very easy to manage the website from day to day. So yes, can be done at club level.
Excellent. Thank you very much. The next question is open to all of our speakers. So whoever would like to speak about it, how do we correlate peace with human rights? Who would like to take that?
I'm sure maybe Otto would like to take that question. Otto, would you like to take that question? Or maybe any other speaker. Maybe Otto is not on the call.
Arthur, you're on mute.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So repeat the question, please.
How do we correlate peace with human rights?
Well, as Eleanor Roosevelt said when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was signed, it is the crucial basis of peace, recognition of human rights. If we don't recognize human rights, we don't eliminate the abuses that lead to war. So really, human rights and peace go hand in hand, for sure.
Excellent. All right. A question from the audience tonight, and this is for Dr. Ira. What can individual Rotarians do to stop nuclear weapons?
I think there's several things we can do as individual Rotarians. One is to just spread information to our Rotary clubs and to our other circles of friends and family. The biggest problem we face right now is that despite the fact that we are literally on the brink of nuclear war, most people aren't paying attention to this. It's very different than it was 40 years ago at the height of the Cold War, where people all over the world were terrified there'd be a nuclear war, and as a result of that, took action. Today, people are not paying attention to this issue, so doing a presentation to your Rotary Club, speaking to your local church group or your local synagogue, your local mosque, your local temple, whatever organizations you belong to that you can reach out to and try to get the communities that you're part of to understand this danger, and then to get them to press their government leaders to take appropriate action. Here, I live in the United States. Here in the United States, we formed a campaign called Back from the Brink, which is a national campaign to change U.S. nuclear policy. In many countries, there are branches of the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, I'll put both of those website addresses in the chat in a few minutes. And then I think the other thing we can do is we can try as individual Rotarians to get Rotary as an organization to take up this issue. It has enormous resources, it has enormous reach, and just a well-organized educational campaign run by Rotary International for Rotarians on this issue would have a gigantic impact. And I think as Rotarians, we should be asking Rotary International to do that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ira. We are on the half hour. I'm not sure how much time we have allocated for questions.
Maybe another
sure.
1 or 2 questions.
I'm sorry?
Okay, that's fine.
1 or 2 questions?
One or two questions more? All right,
Yeah.
here, Dorothy, this question is for you, and it may be a difficult one because it's related to current times. Given the horrific violence against women and children on October 7, 2023 in Israel, how can we as a global community amplify the voices of those affected and raise awareness about the urgent need for international intervention? What steps can you, through your connections and influence, take to launch a worldwide campaign that holds perpetrators accountable and ensures justice and support for victims?
That is a big question.
Yeah.
But I'll have a go at answering this. I'm going to use what we've done here in Australia by my creating the Rotary Safe Families campaign in 2018. I've made films on domestic violence, elder abuse, abuse of children, male abuse. I've spoken as a guest speaker at more than 250 Rotary clubs around Australia, both online and personally. We need to have one voice as a global community. We need one voice will amplify what we have to say to those affected, and also to raise the awareness and the urgent need for international intervention. So the Rotary Safe Families model is a prevention model, informing Rotarians and the public in how to apply the 3 R's, which I mentioned in my talk. And we mustn't leave this horrific story of abuse. And we need to be able to report the male perpetrator. Not only will the cycle of violence be stopped by reporting him, he will hopefully get the help that he needs. So it's a win-win both ways. I also wrote a guide for prevention of abuse in Australia, and I've had it translated into 9 languages, Farsi, Dari, Hindi, Arabic, etc. And we work with community leaders in Australia of many diverse multicultural communities, and we have them educated and informed how to help their community. So it's just raising awareness all the time. It's getting a one voice, and campaigning solidly to actually educate and inform men that they need to change their behaviours. They need to respect women, and they need to do it for the sake of their children and their grandchildren. I believe that the Rotary Safe Families model can be applied to nearly every country in the world. And I believe we have to lobby Rotary International to create Rotary Safe Families worldwide to be able to help other countries, for example, Israel. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy. One final question, and this is open to all speakers, and I think it's a good prelude to the Presidential Peace Conference that's going to be held in February in Turkey. What are the implications of climate change on global peace and security?
Well, let me just jump in one moment to say that the lack of peace and security. The fact that we're putting so much money into militarism is dooming the world not only through nuclear war, but it is the primary source of the ecological collapse of our planet. So if we can get rid of militarism and that dominator culture, that's the only thing we can do to build both an ecologically sound planet that can survive. So the two are crucially linked. Anyone else want to jump in on that question?
Well,
All right.
I would just add, Arthur, I think we need to understand there are two existential threats in the world today that threaten the survival of civilization as we know it and the survival of most people on the planet. One is the climate crisis, and the other is the danger of nuclear war. And they're intimately linked because the climate crisis is increasing conflict across the planet and increasing the danger that nuclear weapons will be used. And many climate activists believe that that's the way the climate crisis will ultimately play out, by provoking a nuclear war. On the other end, a nuclear war's primary devastation will be caused by the climate disruption that it causes. And so we have, for example, within Rotary, a clear understanding of the climate crisis. Originally, there was opposition to Rotary talking about the climate crisis, that it was too political. Now people in Rotary, I think, generally accept that it's a critical part of our mission as Rotarians to help prevent the climate crisis. We need to extend that to the nuclear issue as well, and we need to work on both of these, because either one of them has the potential for destroying everything else that we care about, all the other good work we've done as Rotarians, and destroying the very civilization that nourishes us all.
Thank you. I see that David Newman just posted the rules of law on earth.org, which is a key part of saving humanity. We need law above the nations that divide us. We need law at the global level to enforce human rights. And David Newman is a terrific part of creating that law above all of the divisions that we face. Here, I'm going to repost it here in the chat. I don't know if David wants to say a quick thing about that. I know we're at the end of the time for the meeting, so unless
I would just say thank you all for contributing to what is threatening and risking not only human species existence, but their capacity to flourish with equal opportunity. The threat and risk is enough to damage that. So the very existence of nuclear weapons is a threat and risk. And whether they're used or not, the only way to deal with it is to support an advanced commitment, a treaty that exists, the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, which has already been signed and ratified by over 70 countries of the world. Also, since 1970, the Non-Proliferation Treaty has in Article 6 of that treaty a commitment of Russia, United States, China, France, and the UK, who are the empires controlling the world and dividing the spoils at the end of 1945, at the end of the Second World War, made the commitment to negotiate in good faith nuclear disarmament. That was in 1970. So almost 55 years later, that is not good faith to have failed to achieve nuclear disarmament. So you have two treaties at the international level, and all they have to be done is they have to live up to the commitments that they have made under the 1970 treaty, and then sign and ratify an existing treaty signed by and ratified by over 70 countries.
Thank you,
It's
David.
the easiest thing that we can do at the international level. So let's support Rotary International, encourage them, motivate them and make sure that we individual Rotarians make sure that this happens. Thank
That's
you.
a great ending comment and fits well with the Nobel Peace Prize now being sent to the survivors who have taken the lead in bringing about this historic treaty. Thank you, everybody, for an extraordinary meeting.
Thank you very much. It was a very engrossing question answer session. Thank all the speaker and the moderator roles. Now we move on to our next in the agenda. I request PDG Don Report of Melbourne to give a closing remark. Over to PDG Don. Is he there?
Sorry, not aware that you were going to do that, Smita. I came across this through Dorothy, and extraordinarily impressed by the speakers. My good friend Robert, something very practical that Melbourne has been doing. Dorothy, your address with regards to how we are treating women in the world and the disaster in family love and life. I appreciate your position. I'm an ex-military person a long time ago. In 1962, I think we thought the world was coming to an end. We still think that the world is coming to an end, and it's the same reason, because people are unreasonable. And I just hope that people will take up your challenge to try and bring peace. Arthur, thank you for your input, and Smita for your chairmanship. And if ever you want me to say anything again, please let me know. A wonderful afternoon, and thank you very much. I don't know whether Murray Verso is still there, but Murray would have been a far more appropriate person to speak than I. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much, PDG Don. And now I request our dear Anne Frisch, Dr. Anne Frisch, to give the vote of thanks to all the Rotarian, non-Rotarian, and the peace builder present here.
Well, thank you, Smita, and everyone who is here. It's been an absolutely glorious meeting. We have so much to learn from each other, and our gratitude to you, coming from our nuclear weapons group, for ideas harvested at this meeting. Again, we have so much to learn from you, and open to share. Glad for you to attend our meetings. We have a Rotary World that is a Rotary Satellite Club, but we also have a broader gathering of all the different Rotarians from different clubs. So we are so happy to be connected up with efforts to undermine all kinds of violence, and may it be so.
Thank you. Now we are almost coming to an end of this program, and I now request somebody from the Rotary Club of Bangalore BTM, if he's here.
Yes,
yeah, to
thank
give
you.
the attendance statistics and close the meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Smita. I'll be talking about the attendance statistics, and I will be then closing the meeting. This was a great meeting, and we have seen participation from peace builders and Rotary members across the globe. We have roughly touched we have touched the highest count was 80 in the meeting, and On an average, we had 70 plus participation throughout the speaker sessions. Now I hand it over to Arun to close the meeting.
Namaste and greetings to everyone. It is an honor to close this remarkable session that has brought together passionate Rotarians, protractors, peace builders, and distinguished speakers from across the globe. Today's discussion have highlighted not only the challenges we faced, but also the immense possibilities we can unlock through collaboration, compassion, and commitment to the peace and service. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to all the speakers, moderators, and organizers for making this event a success. With that, I adjourn this international online mega meeting, wishing you all health, happiness, and continued success. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste. Peace to all.
Peace to all.
Namaste.
And thank you, Osram.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm sure we can open the chat. We can open the mic so people can interact and make remarks and comments on their peace building project or on their program on the elimination of violence against women and girls. People can interact and all of that. And I also want to ask the president of BMT to paste on the meeting the link for the peace project for 2025, please, so people can sign in. Over to you, Smitaji.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank everybody for such a nice and engrossing meeting today. And now it is open for fellowship. So all can talk and chat.
Have you taken a screenshot of all the members present? Some
All right,
videos
thank
are not on.
I have it. So I've shared it with Oizu, and I think he will be sharing it in the group.
Okay, that will be fine.
Dr. Ira, thank you so much for being in this call again. We also have some few questions that we have on the form. We're probably going to send that to you. Probably you can answer those questions and also send it to Ross too. Also, thank you, Laura, for your presentation. All the speakers and every contribution was actually inspiring. But we believe that we'll go to our different clubs, different community to preach, to continue to promote this, the elimination of violence against women, promote peace, and also human rights.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Laura.
Thanks,
So-
Ira. That's fantastic.
Jefferson, would you like to say anything? Would you like to make a remark? Over to you, moderator. And also over to you, author. Author, are you there? Dr. Smita, are you there? If no comments or no contributions, we can end the meeting.
You know, others are there. If they want, you know, they can have a discussion among themselves.
Okay, okay.
Dr. Patik.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Dr. Swaraj Babu, we want to say something? Or we will close it. Kirti, you would like to say something? Kirti from Organ Donation.
Oh, greetings to everyone. Thank you for the wonderful meeting. Yes, I would like to join for the peace building projects. Kindly send me the link so that I can contribute myself as well.
Yeah, we will definitely send you.
Yeah, thank you,
We are
madam.
in that
Thank you,
other
everyone.
women empowerment group, no? So we'll send you.
Yes, yes.
And
We are
yes,
in many groups as such.
the
Yeah.
countdown for Istanbul too, that we should try to as much we can reach there
Yes,
physically to be
yes,
there in Istanbul, February.
yes.
Will you be sharing all of the contact information from the chat with the entire group?
Yes, we will send the recording.
Okay. Because I've added mine in there. Otherwise, I don't have a way to reach everyone who might be interested in the Rotarians for a world free of nuclear weapons. And that I actually convened that.
No, I think Jeff Francis, I think the Rose that took the section for the question and answer will be visiting the UN to do a presentation probably. She said that tomorrow or so. I'm probably feel if you can have a contact. I'm sure two of you can work on some things together. Probably during
Yes,
the
I was going to be in touch with you to get her contact information. Sometimes trying to reach the representatives by email doesn't we don't always get a response. So I'd
So
like
if you
try
can-
her. I've not actually contacted her.
Yeah,
she's
if you
going to
send
the
me
UNICEF
an
meeting.
email, I will introduce
That'd
you
be
and her
perfect.
so you guys can connect two of you together.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you too.
Hello. Hello.
So can we end the meeting if no comments or contribution again? Otto, can you end the meeting, please? Dr.
Hello. Hello.
You again.
Yeah. Hello.
Thank you everyone for participating.